All right, so we got a nice 04 F350 here. Looking for just basically tidy up some of the braking and a few little leaks and issues that it's got. So for starters, yeah, these rear brakes, they didn't look all that horrible. They're down. They need to be done. We can see a lot of warpage on the rotor there, especially on the other side, and we've got one dry but moving pin, and this one here is completely seized solid. So that caliper is not going to move. It'll drag a bit, and it's not like the rotor's definitely worn. It looks like it's probably its second set of pads it's gone through. So that one will definitely have to be replaced. We're going to try and lubricate up this e-brake system a little bit here. It doesn't look all that terribly horrible. On the other side, it was pretty much the exact same thing. We've got one completely seized, and the other one really dry. So that one would have been kind of working on an angle there and caused some heat. And again, these things are getting down to that 60-50%. So might as well just change them and make all the rear brakes new. Rear shocks don't look they're in the greatest condition. They look original, pretty rusty. When I moved it up and down, it was a bit of clunky clunk at the beginning. This will just stick to the rear. As you can see, we got pretty bad leakage on this rear cover here. Now, generally, what that is a plugged vent tube. So you're gonna pressurize that and just blow it apart. You can see here we've got a leaky pinion seal too. So usually when I see the two of them, I'll assume that that vent's plugged. So that should get repaired because these rear ends are not cheap to replace or do repairs on. So that pretty much covers the back side of things. These front brakes really don't look all that horrible at all. I'd say they're wearing evenly. These are dry, but they're moving. I don't see any rusting or pitting or anything like that on the calipers. These shocks are done. That's probably why the front tires are so bad. The front end otherwise looks pretty good. Don't really feel any movement or anything like that. I'm pretty sure we could probably get some grease in there. Another front brake. I haven't pulled, yeah, this one here, same thing. We've got nice movement, a little bit dry, but not overly horrible, right? Maybe we can just get away with just putting a set of pads on the front of that. Again, that shock's no good. And now, here's a kind of an issue here. Let's see if we can get that on the camera. That inner seal on that diff looks like it's leaking. So I don't think I'd be too terribly concerned about it right now. We'll just check the level of it and make sure the level's up and it's not too shitty. But this one didn't get the updated dust seal, which it should have. And when they did the work, that not a lot of guys change those inner ones. We change them all the time just because we bought that fancy tool to do it. And if you don't have that fancy tool, you can't change those ones. So I don't know. We can look at that in the future because that's pretty expensive to put in a $30 seal. Pretty much everything has to come out. Hub has to come off. Axle has to come out. And front diff has to come out. The other side has to come out too because that specialty tool kind of fits right into the front diff, front carrier, everything. So we'll just watch that, make sure it doesn't progress. And when it does, we'll have to deal with it once it starts getting all over the brakes. But right now, it looks like it's just a bit weepy. I don't really want to lift it up all the way just because of the weight inside of it. So definitely we can see some leakage on that transmission there. And when I look kind of up in between, you probably won't be able to tell, but it looks to me like somebody tried to service a transmission and they threw away that real nice reusable gasket that Ford has on these, and they put the shitty one that Auto Value sells with a filter, which is a horrible idea. It could possibly be a line too, but we'll clean that up and service the transmission anyways. And you can see up at the front here, there's a bypass, right? So we'll have to get the filter out of that. I don't see anything leaking out of the motor in the front. I don't see any issues with the pinion seal on this front diff. And you can see, we're looking good on that seal there too. See how nice and dry that one is? So that should be okay. I don't really see any major issues around concerning the radiator or whatever. It's got those real old style ones on there. So this is like an early 04 build. Very similar to the 03 style. I had a good look at this Webasto here too, and I'm gonna have to fire it up. You can see it's got some exhaust leaks, right? There's one. Oh, there we go. I got the camera on it right there, right? So maybe we can get some metal tape and tape that up, and I'll turn this on and see how it goes. But there's really not a lot of hoses involved with that, and they do leak. So you can see this one kind of goes all the way in the bottom, all the way back in through there, all the way up there. So they'll rub and stuff like that. So they only last so long. What else do we got here that's concerning? That mount, I think we'll be okay with that. Everything else looks pretty good up in here. Hanger bearing looks to be in good shape. U-joints seem to be in good shape. Backing plates aren't rusted out. So all in all, this truck's in pretty decent shape. It's worth putting a little bit of money into. No doubt about that. It runs excellent. Starts up good hot. We'll see how it starts up cold if we ever get any colder weather. But definitely, as far as the rear goes, there's some concerns. So, yep, rear brake calipers, they're about $1.50 a piece, and there's like a $68 core on top of that too. We'll get that back. Rotors, $115 a piece. Pads, $85 for the premiums, which I recommend. I didn't quote on the fronts, but I buy a lot of those. They're about $85 as well for the front pads. We should probably just slap those on and give it a good service. Grease it, put some anti-seize on the sliders. That gear oil, it's about $20 a liter. Need about 3 liters of that. We'll put some friction modifier in there. That's necessary. Keep that limited slip working. We'll seal it with silicone. We don't use a gasket for that. Pinion seal is only about $30. Just knock off that one big nut and put a little sealant on there. Those will seal up good. Those trans filters are around $50-$60. We'll have to put a proper gasket on it. They're about $65-$70. Bypass filters around $30. Front shocks, they're about $1.05. They're on sale. The Monroe premiums right now at Auto Value. So a couple $100 for that. We should change the fuel filters since we're in there if they haven't been done. That's really important to do on the 6-liter with good ones. That oil bypass filter, it's going to be hard to find a non-AMSOIL replacement for it. They say to use either a CAT one or an AMSOIL one. Otherwise, you can have restriction problems and stuff like that, which may already be the case. But I don't know if we want to change that coolant filter too, but they're pretty expensive. They're in around that $60-$75. So, adding on that I missed a couple of things. We're pushing $1,500 in parts, which isn't really overly horrible for what we got here. It's a pretty nice truck. So, and I don't know. I suspect that I can probably do everything in that, full day, right? Maybe a little bit more. So, everything seems to be pretty good on it. Other than that, I think with a little bit of servicing and tweaking on this thing, don't see any broken springs. And see, we got airbags in here. Somebody put a lot of work into this truck. Probably more work went into this truck than what you paid for it. That's generally the case, right? Even like a topper like that, if it came with that, that's a really nice topper. It doesn't look like it's exactly built for the truck, but whatever, it works just fine. And that door handle, I'd like to I know it looks like he's got like a rear one on there. I'll see if I've got one, or sometimes what we'll do is we'll just fill that hole and plug it, right? But you know, if you're comfortable not having a key there and using the keypad or your fob, then I think that's definitely the way to go. It's just nice getting in and out of her. So yeah, as far as the top here goes, you know, definitely gotta look at these battery cables, right? That's gonna have to be fixed. Same thing with these caps. I always put an aftermarket cap on. These Ford caps are really shitty, right? They're responsible for a lot of problems. We verified this engine's studded. Maybe we should clean this air filter up. Right, same thing with this one. It's not near as bad, but usually when I see them corrode up like that other side does, usually it means that there's a grounding issue. So I'm gonna have a look at that. Make sure that the ground doesn't need servicing. And yeah, I don't know, right? Everything else looks pretty good on it. So I think we'll just stick to the basics as previously mentioned and see how it goes. But yeah, you know, definitely all good typical stuff needs to be done. I'll still put a pressure test on that cooling system, see if there's anything else we can tighten up. But yeah, this won't be a problem.